Hey guys, good morning everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 24th. It is 6:21 right now. We got market opening up in about 9 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and mark up the pre-market checklist over here. Overall market is bearish neutral. It's 5 out of 10 score. We have that over here. It's yeah, overall market bias is neutral, slightly bearish. Medium conviction, fundamentals lean neutral, slightly bearish due to the news from Powell, housing data, and strong USD higher yields. While technicals lean slightly bullish, price holding above VWAP, higher lows on the intraday, and the mix signals create a cautious stance. So with that being the case, we have bearish neutral overall market bias for the day. Overall momentum, let's go ahead and I'll mark that up a little later because we can't really tell until closer to 6:29. Looking over here at the overall trend, it is currently bearish on the 1 minute, neutral. So bearish on the 1 minute, bullish on the 5 minute, neutral on the 15, neutral on the 30, bullish on the 1 hour, and bullish on the 4 hour. Right here, you can see prices above the pivots. The trend meter is green. Pivots are angling to the upside. A lot of these right here, prices kind of in between. So that's going to indicate that it's on the neutral side. With this being said, majority of this is bullish. So we're going to put bullish, and we'll put 3 out of 3 basically. Yeah, we'll put more of a neutral bullish here. So bullish, neutral, or say like 4 out of 3. 4 out of 2. Overall market structure over here is bullish, neutral, 3 out of 0. Pre-market news, I think we had some low impact stuff, so I'm just gonna put no for the day. Low impact. Pre-market volume, we'll know this closer to 629 once the market gets closer to open. And then for post-open news, we have a high impact news event over here at 7 o'clock. It is new home sales. All right, so that's about it for right now. We're going to identify the overall momentum closer to market open. So I'll be looking for that right here at 6:29. So we'll be able to see that shortly. It's looking a little bearish here, so we'll see what happens here in the next few minutes. This price continues to, obviously move along here. This is going to be our main catalyst for the breakout for the day. If we get a lot of bullish momentum here, then we'll probably be looking for a buy. I've also added, so over here I have the screener for the higher time frames. I also added the screener here for the lower time frames. This kind of helps a little bit to identify, where price is moving at the moment. So we'll kind of see how this here plays through. Hey Maria, morning. So, all right, guys, good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, September 24th. It is 6:25 right now. We got market opening up in about 5 minutes. I've marked up pretty much the pre-market checklist over here. Our overall market is bearish neutral. It's 5 out of 10. Basically, neutral is slightly bearish with medium conviction. Overall momentum over here, we'll have this at about 6:29 in about 2 minutes. Overall trend is bullish neutral. It's 4 bullish, 2 bearish, mostly neutral. Overall structure is bullish neutral right here. You can see there's 3 bullish time frames. The rest is neutral. Looking at pre-market news, there's no pre-market news. There's low impact stuff that came up. Pre-market volume will have this closer to 629. And post-open news, we have new home sales at 7 o'clock. Looking over here, pre-market, I'm just going to measure this real quick to see if there's any volume here to be aware of. It's 16 points. Candle move right there around 6 o'clock, so it's not really anything too crazy. I'm going to go over here to the main chart now. I'm going to go and mark up liquidity real quick. I'm just going to mark up what's close because there's really no need to go super far out. Going down to the 2 hour. One hour. This one's from 30 minute, 15 minute, 10 minute, and back down to the 1 minute here. All right, looks like we are good to go. So we got liquidity there marked up. Again, looking over here at the breakout for the day, looks like we're probably going to have a sell. Hold on a few moments. So breakout for today is looking like it is going to be a sell. All right, let's take a look at the overall momentum. So we got a sell over here on the 5, sell, sell, buy, buy, sell. So we got sell, sell, sell. All right, we had a sell confirmation here for the momentum. It's 4 out of 2. So I'll be looking to take the sell here for the breakout, guys. If anybody's looking to take it. Market's going to open up in about 20 seconds. We got market opening up in about 10 seconds. Market opening up in about 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Market is open.
Order submitted.
So huge spike back and forth right here. Let's see.
Order filled.
So see right there, it's currently running. I'll be moving my stop loss and profit closer to like 40, I think. I think I have my automatic TP stop loss and profit. It reaches down to 40. Huge spike right here. This thing might stop me out.
Stop filled.
Unfortunately, got stopped out on that breakout right there on one of my main accounts. Let's see. This one's still running. Unfortunately, got stopped out on that right there.
Filled.
So let's see if this here
Stop
runs
filled.
to the 50. So we got the 50 right there. Huge spike over here as price moved along. Yeah, this thing was a big volatility spike right here immediately on open. So looking at this right here, this is a 50-50 if you're doing the 1-to-1. For me, I'm trying to do the 1-to-2 because I feel like the 1-to-2 is going to be a little more ideal with regard to overall efficiency with profitability. This is a 50-50. So if you're doing a 50-50, it's still currently running. For me, I did the 50-25. So for me, it's a 1-to-2. If I do lose, which I lost on this, unfortunately, it was half risk. So half risk on it. If you guys want to do a 1-to-1, it's still currently running. Let me go back real quick. I want to see what the overall structure was looking like over here, pre-market. I'm just gonna look at the scanners, or yeah, I'm gonna look at the scanners here to see what the market structure was looking like. Huge spike to the upside right now. The overall trend and everything here is kind of pointing towards the downside. Overall structure is pointing bullish, but everything else was kind of pointing down. There's a lot of huge spikes here on open. For some reason, TradingView has been really laggy lately. I'm trying to up to check what the thing looked like here pre-market, but let me just close this back out. I'm gonna have to refresh this. So the 50-50 is still technically going back and forth right now. You guys can see some huge volatility here immediately on open. I'll be looking for the possible orb entry here. If the orb entry plays through, then I could possibly recoup that loss there. So let me see. I'm gonna go back over here. Oh, my window here closed out. All right, so let's go over here. The orb is currently setting up. We have a possible orb right here. The volatility is really, really high though. So if you guys are looking to take the orb is going to be right here at the 46,742. I think this might have already pushed or it's getting close to that 40 point mark. So if it gets past the 40 there, might have to skip out on it. Okay, if you guys are looking to take the orb entry is going to be right here at 46,742. There's two things here to look for. Look for price to either retest right here, or if it pushes past and reaches the target already, make sure to close your position out. I don't think this here's going to pull back. It looks like it's trying to, but I don't know if this will actually pull back far enough to fill and then push back up. If this here pushes past the target, um, you'd have to cancel your order, of course. Looking back at our old strategy, we looked at this yesterday when we were looking back at our previous trades. This right here would be a momentum scalp for those of you who are looking to take it. I know we talked about maybe taking these trades here. This here's actually really good entry for momentum scalp because we had everything bullish here on the lower time frames and then everything bullish here on the higher time frames as well. So the orb still hasn't, I mean, it looks like it probably hit the 40 points already, so you might have to cancel your order. It got really close to it right there. If you want to take it still, there's still possibility of entry right here. It's going to be at 46,742. I would say it's a little tricky because price looks a bit overextended right here. And if it does retrace back, you may have a retracement to the middle range and then possibly a push back up. Really choppy open this morning. So the opening candle right here, as you guys can see, very, very choppy. Let me mark up the opening price. Yeah, so for the orb over here, the orb actually pushed right through, guys. So if you guys want to take the orb, I mean, it's too late at this point. I would cancel your order. If you wanted to enter immediately on open of the following candle, it would be right here. But the retest over here never got retested. So unfortunately, I was looking to recap or recoup on the breakout loss for the orb here, but unfortunately did not play through. You can see over here, price pushed above. I was looking for this to retest, push right back through. And if that was the case, I was going to be able to ride this up further. But unfortunately, we did not get that here. So the orb here, no entry. If you took the traditional orb, it already pressed up to the full 40 points. The momentum breakout over here, loss on that. And I'll look for continuation moves here. But we're getting some pretty high volatility here on open. You guys can see every candle here has been pretty huge. The opening candle right here at 630. So looking at this right here, what I was analyzing for the sell here was that price was probably not going to get past the sessions, which it did, and unfortunately it blasted right through. But there was a lot of areas here for price not to make it through, right? Let me go and just copy this over real quick. So the pre-market checklist, overall market structure was bearish neutral. So the sells did look valid and price is coming back down. So with this being the case, price may continue back down and correct back down. The only thing here that was really bullish was the overall trend, I believe. Overall trend and market structure. So overall trend was bullish neutral. It was 4 bullish, 2 neutral, 2 bearish. Overall market structure was bullish neutral. It was 3 bullish, 0 neutral, no pre-market news. So this is what kind of threw me off a little bit. This huge volatility spike on open. I was expecting this to kind of be a little slower because there was no pre-market news. There is post-market news though. So we have some high impact news over here coming up at 7 o'clock. It's the housing data. So we might get here is price may start to flatten out closer to 7 o'clock, and then we might get a big spike once we hit that point. Let's see. Stern said there were shots at the Texas ice facility. Check that. It's probably on CNBC. Oh yeah. So shooting at Dallas ICE detention facility leaves multiple injured and fatalities. Shoot up and fire at ICE detention center. And the shooter killed himself, self-inflicted gunshot wound. Interesting. Okay. We'll keep in touch with the breaking news. Not really too much here. Let's take a look at the charts again. So if you guys are looking to take the basically the original scalps, these quick scalps for 10 points, bias right now is bullish. So what I would say to look for is look for a sell signal to identify retracement and then look for the continuation back up. So right now everything's pretty bullish. If you look over here on the lower time frames, bullish, higher time frames, bullish. So if you're looking for a continuation move, I would look for a buy. I will also be looking for a buy here. I'm going to be looking for a possible high-low break and retest. I just need one win. If I have one win for today, it's going to recoup the loss from the breakout, and then it's going to push me back into profit. So I'm just waiting, just being patient, waiting for the entry here to come up. Um, Hopefully we get something here. I mean, I don't know if we'll get something, but we'll see. All right, so we got the sell signal right there. We got the sell signal. What you want to look for here is if you guys are looking to take the buys, look for a possible buy signal to come up. The thing that you want to be careful for are going to be the red flags. There's not really many red flags up here. There's actually none, unless price pushes up to the sessions up here. This is the London low and the New York low. But if you guys are looking for any quick scalp entries, I mean, we're pretty much in open space right here. We got a sessions right there, which price is bouncing off of. It's probably not going to give a buy signal on this candle, but if it does give one on the next one, that could be a possible quick scalp entry for 10 points. We got some market structure right here. So this is a resistance turn support. I mean, there's a lot of resistance turn support up here, or this is a support actually from below. That is a support. This is another support. Another support down there. I mean, not that it matters, right? Not that it really matters at this point because price is so far above. I really wasn't expecting a big bullish push like this. I was expecting kind of a slow market until the news here at 7 o'clock, and then continuation back up higher. Looks like price here basically broke up to the upside, and now it's kind of going back and forth sideways. Broke up, now it goes back and forth right here. I have one account if I want to take these scalps. So the possible scalp is setting up right here. Let me see. I could probably set this up with just that one account just to kind of follow through and see where this ends up going. Because obviously I want to test it out and kind of see how it plays through. If I do decide to continue taking these older scalp entries. So we have a possible opportunity right here for this is going to be a momentum scalp, guys. If you guys remember the older strategy, if you guys don't, just check on the website. This candle is going to close in about 15 seconds. If it closes with a buy signal, this is technically going to be a buy entry for a momentum scalp. So I'll be watching it right here. You got about 3 seconds. Does not look like it's going to close. It actually did. So this is an entry right here for a momentum scalp if anybody was looking to take it. The candle right here is kind of bouncing back and forth, so I probably wouldn't have been able to catch it. I mean, obviously, you guys saw I was watching here till the countdown. It closed with the buy signal at the last second, so obviously I didn't get into that one. Um, the thing with this strategy is that it's very subjective, right? Because you can see right here, this candle looked like it wasn't going to close. It was bouncing back and forth at the last second. Also, this candle was too big. You measure it. And this really goes back to what we used to do like probably years back. I stopped applying this strategy for the most part because of the slippage. You guys can see because the stop here is really tight. Typically I trade with a 20-point stop. 15 stop is super, super tight. If it pulls back at all, you'll get stopped out. But if it doesn't pull back at all and just goes straight up, you know, you'd hit your target there. This is more of a 1-to-1, more of a 1 to 1.5, or not 1.5, 1 to 1.15. So you can see over here, this thing kind of played through. If you guys remember my really, really old strategy when we used to trade negative risk to reward, it used to be 1030, right? I think a lot of you guys still apply this. The reason why we did the 1030 is to prevent getting caught in this little spike to the downside, right? Because this thing spiked over here about 20 points. So I'll be following with this to see if this is something that I want to apply moving forward. I got to do some testing. That's why I'm not really applying it yet. I need to see if I want to do a 10 to 15 or if I want to do a 1030. The 1030 is kind of tough because, when you do a negative risk reward like that, if you lose a trade, you have to win three to make it back. So that's why I kind of moved away from those type of strategies. But um, obviously, you can see here that they still work pretty well as long as you do them properly and you don't make any mistakes. Yeah, Arc said it didn't take the trade about 15 seconds before open. It didn't do the glitch I noticed. Yeah. Usually, so on the breakout, there is like pre-market volume, but there wasn't any pre-market volume today. There was a lot of pre-market volume in previous days. Yeah, Talanji said the 1030 win rate is what made it so valid. Yeah, exactly, Talanji. Yeah, because so the thing with this with the scalp move here is that I would like to keep it as tight as possible, right? I'd like to keep it probably at a 1-to-1. The problem with that is that the 10 to 10, this would never work. Like due to spread, slippage, etc., this would never work, right? 10 to 15 could maybe work, but if you get a pullback like this, like after the candle closes, it's not going to work. That's why before we used to do a 1030. And we looked at this yesterday. So if you look back at my previous profits from like years ago, I wish there was a way to go faster above, but we used to apply, we have to go back to like 2023. So this goes back years and years. And if you guys want to look at this, just go to the Discord, go to the official profits, just scroll all the way up and it'll go back to 2023. Talanji's been here forever. A lot of you guys here have been with me forever, actually. Um, and I tried the 10 to 15 here and it worked for a while, but the problem is you get stopped out a lot of the times. Um, if you go super, super far back, I mean, I was doing 10-15 back in 2024. So right here is it's a 1030. You can see you're able to have that safety net and price pushes back up eventually. So I mean, as long as you stay consistent with the with this, I mean, a lot of people are gonna not like this, of course. I don't even like it myself anymore because of the big stop loss. But this is kind of this is what validated the strategy because it gave you enough cushion here to get not stopped out. And that's kind of what I have to look at. If I want to apply the strategy, I have to look at if it's worth the risk, right? Because with the breakout and with the regular entries, it's fine because if we lose a trade, it's half risk. And if we win a trade, it's double profit. And that's why I kind of gravitated towards a breakout and these continuation moves. But the scalps still work. A lot of people have been asking about these older strategies. They still work perfectly fine. It just depends on the person applying it. And you got to be pretty spot on with the entries. We got price pushing back down below here, guys. The target price area for price to reach is going to be the opening price right here. So if it continues to drop lower, target area is going to be this blue line, which is opening price. The only reason I was looking back at the previous scalp entries is because market's been kind of boring lately, right? Market's been pretty boring for the past couple months. Previously, when we were looking at the scalp entries, it would keep us pretty much connected with the market for like the full hour and a half. So I think what I'll do moving forward is I will probably look at these scalp entries. I'm probably not going to take them just yet until I have enough data to understand, whether I want to be taking these entries as is or if I want to use a 1030. But for that specific entry, I'm probably only going to apply it on maybe one account, like kind of like a yellow account. I don't like calling it a yellow account because I don't like to instill bad habits in you guys. But realistically, that's kind of what it is. It's sort of a yellow account in a sense. All right. So let's see. We got price pushing back up. The overall market structure again is still pretty bullish. So with that being the case, if you get a buy signal here, it could be another possible momentum scalp to the upside. Let's see. Sam over here identified a high-low break and retest. Man, I wish there was timestamps on the chat there, Sam. I'm not sure when you mentioned that because I don't see any break and retest here for me personally, unless you're talking about this one right here, maybe. Looks like this could have possibly been a high. Price broke the structure, retested right there, and it shot right back up. I think that's the parameters you use, right, Sam? Don't you use a 1 to or use 10-15? That's why like the 10-15 kind of made a little sense to me, but I don't know. I just don't I already don't like having a tight stop loss of 20 points. I think 15 points is gonna be really, really tight for me. Because I just don't like losing trades very often. And if my stop loss is that tight, although it's good risk management, I don't like to I feel like if I was to get a loss, like for example, this here would have been a loss, right? If your stop loss is 15 points. If it was 30, it would have been a win, but 15 points, it's going to be easy to get chopped out, especially on this high volatility markets. All right, we got price kind of just sitting here. We have no buy signal, which just came up yet. Price here is kind of just going back and forth. I was really hoping we'd have some sort of confirmation here for possibly a high-low break and retest, maybe at these upper levels, but there is just nothing here for us to take right now. Price is dumping right back down. So if you guys remembered, look, I'm going to leave this alone. Whenever I mark up the pre-market checklist, I'm going to leave this alone because the correction to the downside is highly likely, right? And price is actually coming right back down. So pre-market, I marked up overall market structure or overall market bias, which was bearish neutral. So we already expected price to come down. The overall momentum at the time was bearish. Overall trend was bullish neutral. Overall structure was bullish neutral. So it was a little mixed across the board. And then we have housing data coming out right here at 7 o'clock. There's an MPS V2, which is coming down right here. That's the line you just mentioned. So we have a sell signal right here, price retraced up, confirmed on this red candle. And this is an MPS V2 currently running. If you guys want to take it again, you can take it at your own risk. The only problem here that I've mentioned earlier is that we have a bunch of red flags, right? We have the sessions right here. Price basically broke and retest the sessions, and it's coming back down further. It pretty much knocked out this liquidity. Clean that up a little bit. Clean that up a little bit. Let me see if there's any market structure here to identify. So we have we have an imbalance right here. Have an imbalance right here. All right, so price is dumping pretty hard. This is the MPS V2 back down. It's moving in the overall direction of our market structure from earlier this morning. So I pretty much marked this up from earlier. Price is dropping down pretty hard now. Looks like it's about to make its way down to its target. If you guys did take this MPS V2, full TP right there. So if you guys caught that right there, full TP. I was a little tempted to get back into this one right here, but the problem is we had all these sessions, so I didn't really want to mess with it because I was worried that price was going to manipulate back up. And I also don't want to force an entry here. Yeah, I don't want to force any entries here. For these directional entries, you still have to focus on the red flags, which are going to be the sessions, of course. So MPS V2 right there. Thanks to Longi for identifying that as it came up. We had a sell signal right here. Price retraced up, confirmed on this red candle. There's just a bunch of red flags here. There's an area of manipulation because price broke past the sessions. Typically, if this candle did not touch the sessions and it was closed down here, then it would have been an entry that I would have maybe looked to take because there's no other red flags down here. Price pretty much came down, knocked out all this liquidity, and now it is kind of sitting down here. We do have housing data right here at 7 o'clock, so something to look out for. Price is now um, correcting back to what we initially looked for, right? We initially looked for a sell here for the breakout, and price is now back below. So we pretty much just got chopped up right here initially. Market opened up, manipulated to the upside, and then it corrected back down because we were initially looking for a sell here to begin with. So chopped up above, correction back down. We're back down here. What I'll be looking for next is I'll be looking for a possible continuation to the downside. So what I'd be looking for is a possible break and retest below this area. Yeah, Talanji said, yeah, FOMO, decent FOMO. Yeah, no, it's a decent. That was a pretty good. I mean, it was a good call. It was just a lot of red flags right there. Honestly, if we didn't have these sessions here, I would have taken it with you. There was actually so this here the candle. I'm gonna point out a couple things why this candle here was very tricky. For one, the candle was huge. For two, we had a bunch of sessions right here. For three, we were at opening price. But I mean, thankfully, it did push through. Looks like Jarrell caught it as well, so he's break even for the day. Nice work. I'll keep waiting for my opportunity, but see, here's a problem. We're getting close to 7 o'clock. And once we get to 7 o'clock, the market volatility, like we mentioned, tends to die out. I mean, we'll see here if it continues to push through. If it does, great. If it doesn't, then I have to hold back on this. Yeah, Solange said A plus FOMO. Gotta close the app. Yeah, so I mean, looking back over here, there was a couple other entries which showed up. There was also this was a breakout V3 continuation. So I'm reviewing a lot of older strategies that we applied, over the years. There was a sell signal here, it was followed by a red candle. So if you wanted to take this as a BV3 or a BV3C, this here would be a BV3C, right? Your stop loss would have to be pretty wide though. So you can see over here your stop loss, you'd have to have it at 30 points. This is what we just talked about earlier. Because the market's so choppy that, it goes against you just for a second, you can easily get stopped out of the position. Kind of similar to the breakout this morning, right? So unfortunately here, I'll put this in the data. Like I said, I'm gonna keep documenting the entries because we want to put this in the spreadsheet. So here's another trade to add to the breakout for this week. So this was a buy, was a loss, -25. Overall, the week's been pretty decent. I mean, in general, overall momentum was here. I'm gonna do this on a different window, and then I'll bring it back over so I can see it from here. Okay, so overall momentum was bearish or two. Overall trend was bullish, neutral. I'm just gonna put bullish. I don't need to put bullish neutral, just so I have an idea. I just want to have some sort of some sort of bias. I can't add neutral to it, or else it's not gonna make sense. Market news, no. Low impact. Okay, I'll bring it back over here now. So these are the current breakouts right now. For me, I'm glad that the trade, even though it was choppy, it still played through. Or not really played through, but it did what it was supposed to do. So we have an idea. Instead of it being choppy and it would have lost either way. This one lost because it went one way, but not both ways. So these are the current stats right now for what we've documented. Overall, there's still profit for this month. I have to add one more, two more trades actually. These are both wins for Tuesday, Monday last week. I think it won every day last week. For this week's a little more choppy, but it's currently at break even for the week because we do have a loss on Monday, win on Tuesday for 50 points, and then a loss today. So if you took every trade, you basically be at break even for the week. Price here is dropping lower. Let me go ahead and just add this to the Discord as well. So if you guys are ever curious about what entries have came up for the day, I'm going to post him in the official chat. So looking over here at the orb, guys, looks like we're in a choppy market again. Yesterday was pretty directional and bullish. Right here, you can see from the orb, it's pretty obvious. Price faked out above, pull back below, and now it's down here. So a lot of choppiness from the upside, choppiness from the downside. With this here, price can easily fake out and pull back into the range. So we had a couple of days with some nice directional move, and then now we have, I mean, obviously you guys can see the chop. If you look over here, price pushed into the orb from yesterday, and then it came right back down below. So loss on the breakout, momentum breakout, and then orb entry over here, no fill because the price never came back to fill it. And I'm still looking for a continuation move. So I'm looking for possibly a high-low break and retest if we can get one to recoup my trade from this morning. All right, we had bullish momentum right here. If you guys want to take a scalp, looks like a sell here could be valid if it does come up. We're currently in a downwards trend. The short-term market structure is starting to turn bearish. So if you get a sell signal over here, guys, for those of you who are looking to take those quick scalp moves, there's a possibility of opportunity there for entry. The thing is the ATR is really high, so you got to have a pretty wide stop loss. The volatility is really high today compared to yesterday and the day before. So if your stop loss is any smaller than 30 points, I mean, if price goes against you even for the slightest bit, you can easily get stopped out. All right, there's a possible sell signal here. It's currently pending. If the sell signal closes, this could be a possible scalp to the downside. Again, if you want to take this for a really tight scalp, you can do a 10-15. If you want to be on the safer side, you can do a 10-30. I don't really highly recommend it, but the traditional strategy is a 10-30 for a quick scalp. Um, it gives you basically enough safety net for it to retrace back at all. And you're going for that quick push. However, it does not look like the sell signal is closing. It was pending here and actually closed. Looks like we're actually going into a choppy market down here. So we're back into this market chop now. You can go in the higher time frames real quick. I'll see if there's any possible imbalances here to look at. There's actually a bigger imbalance right here between these two. So we have the small imbalance and there's a bigger imbalance here on the 5 minute. See, so price over here retested this area, went into drawdown about 25 points, and it came right back down 30. Part of this drop down from. So one thing that I noticed with the orb guys, I mean, this doesn't always happen, but what I've noticed a lot of times is whenever price comes or like whatever the orb is, like for example, you see how this orb is below this one, price will tend to stay below that area. I don't know if that was the case with yesterday. Let me check. Well, like kind of similar to the orb from here. Previous day was bullish because it was above the orb from the previous day. So the bias here obviously played through. Kind of curious to see the one from Monday. Same thing here. So basically, whenever the orb is in a different direction of the previous orb, it usually continues to drop that way. So like for example, over here, this is the orb from Monday. This is the orb from I think Friday. Yeah, I mean this thing would have came up, but it would have taken a long time for it to actually reach this point. So not one that we'd be looking at, of course. It's actually something to pay attention to. It doesn't always work though. So for example, over here, this is the orb from Thursday. I think I took this orb, or I tried to take this orb. It actually never came back to fill. This is the orb from Wednesday last week. Yeah, a lot of these orbs, like for example, this one over here, it comes back down, but it does a lot of times it doesn't actually come back to fill within the session time. I'm just looking for inconsistencies in the market. This is on Tuesday. Never came back up to fill it from there. Last Monday. No, actually, now that I'm looking at it, this pattern that I was kind of looking at, it doesn't really work that much. I mean, it works to some extent, but it I haven't seen very many wins here. Like I still would have looked for the buy there for that orb. Anyways, price is back over here below. We still haven't gotten that sell signal, guys. The sell signal we were looking at down here. So there's no confirmation. Daniel over here, it looks like he tried to get into the orb. It spiked him out by 1 point and then it went straight to profit target. And then he missed a break even by 1 point too. Yeah, that sucks, Daniel. Yeah, I know Daniel and and Sam have been trying to take these other entries here for the orb continuation, but I mean it's a choppy market. So let's go back over here to the orb again. I mean, this chop is pretty obvious. Like you can't deny this chop here, right? Prices pretty much came above. It's chopped up here, came below. It's chopped down here. There's not really much direction. This is kind of what's been, this has been this is why I'm focused more so on the breakouts, like the original momentum breakout. Because the thing is, once price hits 7 o'clock, we talked about this. We've been talking about this actually. Whenever price hits 7 o'clock, the market here just kind of starts to die out. All the action pretty much happened here within the first basically 3 minutes of market open. Market open right here at 6:30, price pushed up, and then now we're in this chop. right? That's why for me, I'm mainly focused on the momentum breakout on open, and then hopefully, or in a lot of instances, I'm looking for the orb entry. The problem is like a lot of times these orbs just never get filled. Like for example, this one over here, this technically never got filled because it already reached the target. Or I mean, depending on like what your target was here. Actually, I'm looking back at the orb now. The orb actually would have never played through. This actually would have lost, it looks like. So 742, 737. Yeah, the orb here actually would have lost, it looks like. I mean, I didn't take the orb, but we were marking it up. I was trying to look for it to come back and retest. But it looks like the orb for today would have lost regardless. Because if we were doing a 25.50, this is why I like to keep it at 40.20. But the problem is that like a lot of times, you're just off by just a little bit. So I didn't take the orb for the day. I only took one entry, which is momentum breakout. Obviously, you guys know I take it at half risk because I'm doing a 1 to 2 here. So whenever I eat losses, they're not really that big of a loss. It's basically considered a half R multiple. So instead of taking a full loss, like in order for me to take a full loss, guys, I have to take two losses back to back. I took a loss last week. I took a loss this week, so I'm technically at one full loss for the past 2 weeks, which is fine because if I have one win, it's going to recoup to today's trade and last week's trade because I'm doing a 1 to 2. So basically, I'm risking 25 to make 50. So if the breakout hits tomorrow, I'm basically going to be back at break even. That's why I'm being very patient about my entries here. I'm not really trying to jump into anything crazy because it's just not the market to be doing this or doing that in general, taking unnecessary risk. Um, but anyways, I mean, we're going to keep following through with this. I'm still looking for a possible opportunity for a correction or a continuation, but you guys can see down here, there's no movement, right? Price is going back and forth down this middle area. Yeah, Rev said, what a mess. I agree. I'm like curious if like, well, I'm looking at it here now, and it doesn't even look like the sweeps here would have played through. Like, it looks like everything that would have been taken here probably would have lost. Um, it doesn't really matter which strategy you're applying. If you took any sweeps here, I'm just looking at where liquidity is sitting. Um, Here, let's take a look at the overall trend. Overall trend is currently, it's like completely mixed. So here's like, if you want to look at the market on a bigger scale, you can go on the higher time frames, like say like the 1 hour. See, the 1 hour here shows that market has not really done anything for like the past 24 hours. So basically for the past day, market has not done anything here. It's just been going back and forth. We had this big spike over here, which was on Tuesday, but then after that, price pretty much just flattened out, did nothing. If you want to go on the even higher time frame, you can go to the 4 hour here. And the 4 hour shows you that nothing's happened within the past 24 hours, right? Price has basically just been going back and forth between this right here. So it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're on the lower time frames, higher time frames, this is why I prefer to stick to the breakouts because we get to get in on the earlier action and then we're kind of done with it. Whether you win or you lose, the overall statistics of the breakout, once you get on a win streak, like I wish I was taking the breakouts last week because last week the breakouts were just pretty much hitting every day. Monday through Friday, it pretty much hit 5 days. So if you think about that, like I mentioned, the R multiple here. So for example, so it would be um, basically you'd have 6 wins back to back, and then there's two losses for this week. So that'd be -1. You basically had a 5R multiple so far for the past 2 weeks. That's why Arc over here, he passed how many accounts within a short period of time because the breakouts have just been hitting back to back to back. Yeah. All right, so let's see if anything happens here. I mean, nothing's really going on back and forth here. I'm trying to get into one more entry here to recoup my trade. Again, we're still talking about the original scalp entries that we used to took in previous years. There's no entry here right now. If you're looking to take the previous scalp, I mean, the market structure right here is not very bearish. So even if you get a sell signal here, I don't think it's something that I'd really recommend taking. If you look over here on the 1 minute though, we do have a change of character. We have price, which is outside the order block. The fair value gap is outside, it's bullish. Premium and discount is under the equilibrium, which is bearish. Liquidity gap is bullish, and it's currently at the equal lows. So that being the case, the sells here could be valid if they do come up. Only problem is, you might get caught in this chop right down the middle. All right, so here we are in this choppy market. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat. Um, Ark is asking, did you backtest the momentum breakout? Well, you can only go back so far because you can only pull this data for so far. My main catalyst is going to be the overall momentum, and you can't go back more than a week, Ark. So that's why I've only left it at this because you can't really go back farther than that. That's why you can see over here. I'll probably just backtest the not really backtest, but I'll mark up the data over here so that you can see the trades for the month of September. But I can only pull the momentum data for the past week or so. So the backtest is kind of relevant. And the backtest isn't really necessary because this isn't a brand new strategy. The strategy, we know it works. It's just trying to figure out what's the filters and catalysts that we want to use to make sure that it works better. Because the strategy at best is probably, a 2R, 3R per month strategy. It historically it's supposed to yield a profit. But the problem is how do we improve on that? And the thing is, I can't do that without having the data here for the overall momentum. The problem with the overall momentum is that it covers the second chart, and you can't pull second data like the 5 second, 10 second, 15 second, 30 second. You can't pull that data more than a week because you can only imagine, right? If you're trading a 5 second chart and you go back more than a week. Like here, let's see. I'll do the math for you. That's a lot of candles. So 5 times 60 times 24. So basically every day there's 7,200 candles, right? And like I mentioned, you do 7 days for basically a week. So in order for me to pull data for a week, the data that shows up is 50,400 candles. That's why I can't go farther than a week because it just does the data's not there. You imagine doing this for a whole month. That's 201,600 candles. Like these little candles right here would show up. That's why the data doesn't pull up. That's why I need a forward test it. You can't back test it because you can't go far that. You can't go farther than a week. But the back test isn't really necessary. We already know the raw data for the breakout. It's just trying to find that inconsistency or consistency in the market to improve the win rate. Because the win rate is going to be like we mentioned, a 3R multiple, which is why you pass your account. So if you guys are looking to pass accounts with your eval, your apex, the breakout's a good strategy. You're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs, but it should be able to yield a passing account within a month's time. Like if you take every single breakout, you should be able to pass within a month's time. And if you fail for a month, the next month is usually going to be good. So if you guys have traded the breakouts over the years, you know that the breakouts sometimes there's going to be good months, there's going to be bad months. There's going to be some really, really good months. Like last month was really good. The previous month before that was really good. This month was been pretty decent as well, but we're trying to improve on that. That's why I use this catalyst as the overall momentum. All right, guys, we have a sell signal here, but you guys can see price is not going anywhere. It's sitting between this previous support and resistance here. So this was a previous support when price was below. It turned into a resistance when price pushed back above. So support, resistance, and now both of these zones here are considered support and resistance. I mean, there's just nothing going on here right now. Man, I'm like sick of this like sideways market. We talk about this pretty much every day and every week, right? I'm like, okay, I'm hoping next week is gonna be more directional. But we've been stuck in this sideways market for a really, really long time. Here we go. As price pulls back. So there's one of two things that may happen here. Price is either going to pull back into the range, maybe range within here, maybe break above, range up here, or price may just sit down here for a bit and continue back down lower. So the good thing here is that the analysis from initially this morning, it basically corrected back down. So for the breakout this morning, we were anticipating a drop to the downside. The drop to the downside would have made sense here because price here came down a little bit. And I would have thought, okay, this is going to come down and fill this area right here, right? Whether it comes down to here, whether it comes down to here, I was like, okay, price is going to come down and fill this area to basically wipe out the buyers. Fortunately, I actually did the opposite. Pushed up, manipulated, came right back down. Here's my swing positions, guys. Again, my swing position got really close to filling. Unfortunately, it did not get filled again. I moved it up to 46,500. You know, these swing positions, it's crazy because they never pull back far enough to fill my entry, but they kind of just sit there. Um, I might have to make some adjustments to my swing positions. The other adjustments that I'm looking at is I'm probably going to be looking at the overall trend. And if the overall trend is moving in a direction, I'll probably just continue riding it there for a day. So this is what I was looking at for my swing position. So market reopened right here at 1500. This is for the new day, right? I think what I'm going to do moving forward is I'm probably going to swing trade. Not really swing trade, but I'm going to intraday trade. Or not intraday. I'm going to basically hold it for one day. Again, if the market opens up above here, I'll probably try to enter at some point at the high point here of wherever it closes. So for example, if this candle closes, well, the market's going to close over here and then reopen at 15, right? So depending on where it reopens here, that's where I'll be looking to take the entry. Let me see the one from the previous day. So this was for Tuesday. And then for Monday over here, same thing. So market right here opened at 1500. I would have a pending order here. This actually would have never gotten filled. It would have gotten close, but it wouldn't have actually filled. Because if you zoom in over here, and this is for swing trading, guys. This isn't for the normal day trading. This is a 1 hour chart. So basically, market would reopen here at 1500. What I would do is set my pending order right there at whatever the opening price was, and I try to fill it, or whenever I have the opportunity to get into that position, get in from there, and then write it up, and then close it before the next day, right? Because the next day here would be Tuesday. I would typically try to go for 500 points, or I guess 250 might be the criteria there, and then close it before the next day. The thing with this here is that this trade would technically still be going on, and then you roll it over to the next day, basically. So this trade from Monday is still technically running. If you wanted to swing it, the trade's still technically running. If you're going for the 500. So I'll try to give you guys updates on that. I mean, the problem with the swing trades is that a lot of times they're just never going to get filled. If you guys have been following my swings, I've been trying to get this swing filled for basically 2 weeks now. I tried to get in down here. It got really close, didn't fill. Price pushed above. I tried to get in right here. It never filled. Then price pushed up even higher. I'm now trying to get in right here at 46,500, which you got close to filling yesterday, but it didn't actually get down to this price. I was off by maybe 100 points, 100 points, 200 points, maybe less. Um, but yeah, I mean, those are my swing positions. Like even with NASDAQ, see, my entry was way down here. I try to get in from here, try to get in from here, still no entry. It's like odd because we're in a very bullish market it just doesn't make sense. All right, so again, right here, we're back at the main chart. There's nothing going on at the moment. Price is pushing back up. You guys can see a lot of randomness here. This is what we talked about earlier. So I mentioned price was sitting down here, right? And I said price is either going to do one of two things. It's either going to push back into the range here and then maybe range within this area, or it could have went below, which it didn't. So there's two things that could have happened here and one thing that actually happened, right? So I mentioned price was either going to continue dropping, or if it didn't, it was going to push up here and then now just range within the middle point here. Man, I'm sick of this sideways market. Yeah, Sam said your breakout is magic. Yeah, I know. So the thing with the breakout is that I'm trying to put more logic behind the strategy, right? Like you mentioned, like Sam said, your breakout's magic. It is magic because it's based off the momentum. And the problem with that is that, I like to have logic behind the entry. Of course, there's logic behind it, meaning that momentum is momentum, but I want to have more logic behind the catalyst, right? That's why I'm using overall momentum and not just the 1 minute, even though the 1 minute is just fine. All right, here we are back into the range. It's like nothing ever happened. Price range down here, pushed up a little bit for the fake out, and then it pulled right back into this lower range. I'm wondering if there's a sweep area right there. Okay, so there's actually an area of sweep. I mean, there's two areas of sweep here. There's this upper area right there, and there's a lower area right here. So if you wanted to take this as a sweep, technically could have taken it. It'd be a really tight sweep though. The ETR is currently at 21, so you'd probably do a 40-20. Yeah, it looks like it swept off this lower high. If you would have taken the lower sweep right here, it looks like you would have gone burnt. Lower sweep here wouldn't have worked out. Or maybe it's still running. I don't know. Technically, the lower sweep here is still technically running. So if you took, I guess if you took either sweep here, the lower sweep or the higher sweep, you'd still be in the position. With this type of market, we've talked about this before, your best friend is really going to be the sweep. Personally, I don't like taking the sweep. If you wanted to take the sweep here for a buy, you would take it from this lower low, basically at the extremes. You can take the sweep from these other levels here, but for me personally, I would go from the extreme, which would be this lower low right here. We have a new support. I don't really want to draw it up, but we do have a support right here. I just want to make you guys aware. So I think I can delete this smaller support or this old support. And yeah, we got price over here basically going back and forth. Let's see, Glenn said, what if there's a way to catch these breakouts with a pending order? Like, for example, today, maybe catch it from above, back down, knowing the momentum prior to market open is for a sell. Yeah, you could do that too. So the problem with that, Glenn, is that the breakouts it doesn't always go in the opposite direction, right? If you do that, then there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you to actually miss the trade. So let's just go back and we'll take a look at the breakout from yesterday. So this was a breakout from yesterday, right? If you were looking for that, like what you just mentioned, Glenn, you would have just missed the entry completely, right? Because it was for a buy and price never actually went the opposite way. So the thing with this is that you got to pick one side. You're either going to be in the breakout or you're not. What you're looking for is you're looking for a breakout reversal, right? You're looking for the breakout to fail, and then you're looking for it to reverse back down, which could be the case. You can look at the breakout in an instance like that too. Like, so what you can do is if you take the initial breakout and you lose it, then you can look for a reversal from there, right? And I think that's what you're trying to get. That's your idea. You're looking to, okay, if I lose a breakout, then how do I write it back down? Let's see. I'm looking over here and there's actually like I can't see any structure here where we could have rode this back down. Because the thing is the structure where I would have seen the reversal would have been right here at the London low and the Asia high, right? So let's just go back and I'll replay it to market open. So this is how market opened up. And this over here, I mean, there's just nothing to the only structure here that you can look for possible reversal would be either the London low right here, right? The resistance turned support, and then the Asia low right there. So price pushed up, breakout would have failed. If you would have entered right here, so say for example, if you wanted to turn around and say your breakout lost and you wanted to ride this back down, you basically would have had two losses because price actually didn't come down from there. See how price climbed up higher? So you would have taken the loss for the breakout. If you're looking for this to turn around here, it would have been another loss. The only other way to really identify that is to look at price action. So like basically what I would look for here personally is I'd look for like, a strong red candle back down like that right there. So in a situation like that there, that's where you would take the entry to write it back down. But it's super subjective because just because it comes down like this doesn't mean it's going to actually come down, right? And it looks like you would have gotten stopped out there again. So you basically would have been screwed three times. The breakout would have stopped out, the reversal here would have stopped out, and then the full-on reversal right here. If your stop loss is too tight, 25 points, you probably would have gotten stopped out there again. So I think by doing that, you put yourself at more risk than just taking a partial loss, right? Or not a partial loss, but taking just one loss for the breakout versus taking a loss there, a possible loss on the reversal, and then even further. The thing with so let me look at the ATR. The ATR was actually really low on open. So that might be something for me to pay attention to as well. But it's always like this, right? The ATR was at 7. It's not exactly a make or break for me. Anyways, guys, if you guys took the sweep here, it looks like both of the sweeps would have worked out. So we had a sweep right here from this lower high. Price swept from there. If you took the sweep from this lower high, it still would have hit. So either way, two sweeps over here would have played through. I'll color this blue so that you guys know that they're sweeps, not directional moves. Basically had two sweeps here follow up on each other. Um, but yeah, Glenn, I mean, if you see anything better, those are the only areas I would have saw the reversal from, right? I would have seen the reversal from the structure, which didn't actually reverse from it. And then I saw the reversal right here off this big red candle, but because price was so volatile, it would have spiked you out before it came back down further. And even if it didn't spike you out right here, it would have spiked you out right here. So, sometimes it's better just eat the manipulation than to try to reverse it. Because right here you would have had one loss, but if you would have tried to reverse it, you basically would have had three losses. So loss on the breakout, loss right there, and then loss right here. And then if you would have jumped back in, I mean, you maybe would be able to recoup from here, but it looks like it would have stopped you out again right there. Stop loss is just too tight. So the only other thing I can think of that could be helpful for this would be to have a wider um it still wouldn't have helped though, because look at the drawdown here. So you could have done a 50-50 or you could have done 100. The 100 would have protected it, but if you did 100, you'd still be in the position right now. We used to do this before. And the thing is like this is good if you're trading with a prop firm that doesn't have a trailing drawdown. The problem with this is going to be impossible to do with Apex, right? You can't do this with Apex because the trailing drawdown will screw you basically. If you guys took the breakouts with me a long time ago, so like around COVID time, this used to be our breakout back then. We used to do a 150, 150, and this thing could run for the entire day, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? The breakout has pretty much evolved over the years. We used to do a pretty wide breakout like this. We basically hold it for the entire day. I think you were around from that point, Glenn. Yeah, I think a lot of you guys were here back then. Like initially, so this was the first breakout. The first time we ever applied the breakout used to be on the 10-minute time frame. And for this here, we used to basically, so the breakout actually would have been a buy, and we would have held this for the entire day. Same with yesterday. So let's see, today's Wednesday. Let's go to Tuesday over here. Tuesday was, I mean, same thing. If you would have taken Tuesday's breakout and you had a 150, would have played out. Let's see Mondays, breakout for Monday. Yeah, so I mean, this works really well in a very volatile market. So this is Monday's breakout. So this is one way of just taking it with a pending order. Because what happens is market could open up and you'll just put your pending order there. It'll fill it eventually, and then you'll just kind of ride it for the entire day. The problem with this here is that you can't hold positions overnight, right? With FTMO, you can hold it overnight, but with Apex, you can't because if you get down to like the end of the day, you got to close it out, whether it be a loss or whether it be a profit. This is from Friday, I believe. See, so Friday over here, I'm just curious to see what it would have looked like over here. I mean, basically same thing for Friday here. Looking back at this, I'm like, this actually works really well. It's just it's gonna be tricky when you try to apply this on days that are not volatile. So let's see. Yeah, anyways, I'll probably take a look at that. I'll have to do a bit of some testing to see how stuff here would work or if it would work. I think right now what we're doing currently still works perfectly fine. I think there's no need to make any changes. It just kind of depends on like what your criteria is and if you guys are looking to hold on to something longer than what we normally hold. For me personally, though, I want to get in and out of this breakout right away. It's the whole point of the breakout. You want to get in and out immediately on open. There's nothing happening here, so if you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat. Again, price is still chopping within this middle range. I mean, this chop here, if you guys can't see this chop, I don't know what to tell you. Like this chop here is very, very, it's very obvious, right? There's nothing that's happened here. Price has been going sideways between this area and this area down here. So there's no entries to take. I mean, unless you guys want to take sweeps. Let's go over here to the main chart. So there's sweeps that have been coming up. Let's see, I'm going to go to the extremes again. This higher high right here is where you want to look for a possible sell sweep. This higher low right here. So basically, if you're looking to take sweeps, I would look for sweeps up here or look for sweeps down here. The problem is that these sweeps aren't going to hold forever, right? Market here has not done anything for the basically the remainder of this period. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and I'm just going to mark my own range, my own zones here, basically. All right, so we have this range right here, right? I made it a little more obvious. We had a support and resistance marked up there, but I just made it a little more obvious here so that you guys can see things more clearly. This is basically where price has been bouncing back and forth from. you don't want to trade within this area. The extremes of this here would be basically this higher high. So if you do want to take a sweep, this would probably be your best option for a sell. And then if you want to take a sweep for a buy, your best option would be down here. You don't really want to trade within this middle area because it's easy to get chopped out either way. Sam said it must be hard to trade Zoom and answer us, bro. Respect. Yeah, I mean, I've gotten used to it, right? I've gotten used to it to the point where it's not really that difficult for me. But yeah, for an average person, it's hard to zoom, analyze, take trades on your own, not miss stuff. Um, yeah, that's why for me, like I like the breakouts initially because I don't have to like there's not really too much focus that needs to be done on the open. It's like you take the trade, it wins or it loses. That's fine. The thing is, we're taking it with a 1 to 2. So, like, even if I do have a loss, like for example, I took a loss today for the breakout. If I take a win tomorrow, it's going to recoup my loss and then I'll have profit on top of it for the week. So that's kind of like what I'm anticipating and what I'm waiting for. So I just got to stick to it. Don't make any adjustments and don't do anything crazy, of course. Um, you just got to stick to the game plan and stick to what I plan to do, which is to take the breakout, of course. The thing with trading, that a lot of people um, realize or don't realize is that there's a lot of back and forth with trading. You're never going to have like very high consistency unless you're taking like the quick scalps. That's why like for me, I was a little tempted to get back into our normal scalps because our win rate was like crazy high with that, right? We had like I think maybe an 80 to 86% win rate. It was for 10 points, but those wins added up a lot. Like if you go back to our Discord, just again, if you guys want to go back and see what I was doing like maybe 2 years ago, which were these quick scalps we were going for 10-point moves. You can go back to 2023, just keep scrolling up. Because with this type of market that we're currently in, that strategy actually works really well. So if we go back over here, let's go back as far as I can. So like see these 10-point moves? This actually works really good in this type of market because there's not a lot of moves that are happening, right? The ATR is currently low at like 18 points. So like these 10-point moves will will recoup it. That's kind of like what Sam's doing, right? When Sam takes these entries, he's going for these quick moves, 15 points, 10 points, 20 points, and he's locking in profits here and there. Um, and there's a balance to it. If you want to take the bigger moves like what I'm taking, the breakouts, it eventually will balance out. But if you want to have a higher win rate, and then just, grab the low-hanging fruit, then the quicker scalps will also yield you profit. It's just going to take a matter of time until it actually gives you the profit. The only problem with taking these quick scalps is when you take a loss, those losses are going to hurt because we used to do 10-30 split for these entries. Like, this would probably drive some people crazy, obviously, right? A lot of people don't like those types of moves. See, this was the original breakout. This is what I was just talking about earlier. We used to take the breakout for like 50 points. 50 points, or we take it for 100 points. Yeah, see, this stuff would drive you crazy. Like if you were to take this here, I mean, this is the breakout, not a big deal on that one. But for the other entries, like say for example, this market flow V2, if you were to take a loss in this, this would set you back 3 trades. So it's tough. That's why I kind of moved away from it. But the strategy works. It's just, how consistent can you stay? Because if you're taking those negative risk to reward, you have to be very, very consistent. One mistake or one bad week could really set you back like a month. And that's not a good feeling. Yeah, Glenn said, yeah, I remember telling you that you have balls of steel for holding a position like that. So I don't think we have the markup here, but I'm sure a lot of you guys remember there was this one day, it was like in 20, it was like it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. We held on to a breakout that was 150 and we held on to it for like almost a week. if you guys remember that position, that was when the market was like barely moving. It was like around COVID time. Um, we held on to a breakout for like almost like it carried over for about 7 days because the market wasn't moving 100 points at all. It was kind of like this, how market's moving right now, back and forth. It did this basically for like a whole week, for a whole 7 days. And we held on to that position for I think over a week before it finally eventually hit. But I can't do that. I mean you can't do that even if you wanted to because Apex won't let you take trades like that. Right? You got to close out by the end of the day. Let's see. Talisha said to check ES. Let's go take a look at ES. So ES is exactly like YM right now. There's nothing going on. It's sideways, right? ES is going back and forth, back and forth. It's literally exactly a mirror image of YM. Most of the time, this is usually how it works. They usually go in the same direction. So this is YM. It's exactly the same. I'll put two windows side by side. Yeah, so here's ES and here is YM. I'm going to take off this smaller window. It's kind of overkill. I feel like it's a lot of stuff on my chart. But yeah, here's ES right here, and here's YM. There's nothing going on for either asset. Sideways move right here. Here's ES. I mean, same thing. So ES is doing nothing, and YM is also doing nothing. I don't think there's any other news for today, is there? There's not. It's just a slow day today, like a really slow day. Yeah, 7:44 right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat. Again, like I mentioned before, um, there's just nothing to take here. Even if you guys wanted to take these micro scalps or these mini scalps, there's just nothing here to take. His price is stuck within this range. The only thing I could sort of recommend is to take the sweeps, but even at that, the sweep that I mentioned, the extreme is going to be up here. Price is down here. Vice versa, if you want to take a sweep from the bottom, price is right here, sweeps down here. So, yeah, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to hop into the chat. I looked at ES. ES is doing nothing, just like YM. One other thing that I might want to look at is maybe NQ. So let's take a look at NQ. And even though NQ doesn't mirror YM, I'm just kind of curious to see how NQ is currently moving right now. NQ is kind of the same thing. They're all ranging actually. So, yeah, I mean everything is ranging right now, it looks like. So pretty much all assets here are going sideways. We got NQ, which is going sideways with some fake outs. So like same exact thing with YM right now. You can catch the sweeps at the extremes. Same with ES over here. I mean, if you wanted to catch the sweeps at the extremes, you can. So basically up here. This is just a good day to sit out of the market. Not necessarily like all day, but the movement happened pre-market or not pre-market open. So again, right here, let's go take a look at ES. ES actually came down. So like looking at the direction here, we were expecting price to come down. ES actually came down pretty nicely. So basically between 6:30 and 7 right here, we had a nice drop. ES came down in the direction that we were looking for. Well, why I'm here did the opposite. It actually pushed up and then it came right back down. Take a look at NQ real quick. Yeah, same thing with NQ. They had the same movement here. So 6:30 to 7, this is where pretty much all the action happened. And then market died out, right? We had the action right here, price came down, and then it went into this chop after 7 o'clock. So again, that's another reason why, like I mentioned, I'm trying to get into the breakout immediately here on open, and then after that, I'm just kind of done with uh with my entries for the most part. So I don't think I'm going to get anything here today, guys. If you guys, again, if there's any questions that you guys have, feel free to hop into the chat. I'll answer whatever questions you guys have. If there's anything you need help with, just hop into the chat. This is the best time to ask questions because there's nothing for me to look at and there's nothing for me to really take here. I was really hoping I could test out the original scalps that we took, the 10-point moves, but there's no movement here, so I can't even take those scalps even if I wanted to. Looking at market structure over here, it's currently bearish. You can see we have a bearish rating. Price did break past a change of character to, down below. We had an order block, which is currently outside. We have price is currently under the equilibrium. Fair value gap is outside. I mean, there's not really much here to look at. It's mixed. It's like super, super mixed because there's no direction. So even just looking at market structure and price action, we're in a like if you guys were ever curious to see what a range looks like, this is a range consolidation, right? This is a clear-cut example of a range consolidation. The thing is, so here's what you want to look for. Once price breaks out of this range of consolidation, it's going to move directional, right? Either moves directional to the upside or it moves directional to the downside. There's no telling exactly where it's going to go, but yes, it's going to go one way or the other. Opening price is right here down the middle. Nothing right here down the middle. This is the opening price, the blue line. You can't see it. It's kind of like lodged within the range right here, but the opening price is right here where price is currently sitting. This just basically shows you that price hasn't gone anywhere for the day. Let's see. Sam said tomorrow GDP news. I believe so. Let's check. So tomorrow we have jobs data. Thursday we have jobs data pre-market, continuing jobless claims, initial jobless claims, 4-week average, and then we have good trades balance and then GDP growth rate at 5:30. It's high impact, but I don't expect it to really be super, super high impact. I mean, we'll check the news tomorrow, if obviously before market opens up. The main news days that I'll be looking to avoid entries would be like NFP, PPI, CPI, and then Fed Day, right? FOMC. Those are the main days where I'll probably avoid trades. I mean, I'll see how market reacts to this here. I think we'll have some sort of volatility, but I'm not going to expect too much. Like maybe like a 50-point candle, 60-point candle, but nothing like above 100. Because these are high impact news events, but they're not super high impact news events like NFP and stuff like that. So we'll see how market reacts to this stuff tomorrow. We have a lot of news tomorrow though. We have jobs data, we have GDP, and then we have retail data right here. Plus homes data. There's a lot of data on Thursday. You have housing data. It's a lot more than I expected. Housing data at 7, and then the inflation data and jobs data pre-market. Yeah, tomorrow's a heavy news day. It's preparing for the NFP next week. Yeah, Sam said no need to force anything here, bro. Exactly. I mean, I'm not taking anything here. I just wanted to test out the scalps, but I mean, there's nothing here to test, right? We have a sell signal right here, guys. The overall structure here for the 1 minute is currently bearish. We have strong bearish bias with regard to rating. Structure is breaking. It's broken past the change of character down here. It's outside the order blocks, the downside. Let's see. So we had an imbalance right here. I'm going to delete this. And then I believe there's an order block. I mean, it's not a strong order block, but it's an order block nonetheless. There's an order block right here. Some people like to call them order blocks, some people like to call them resistance. It's the same thing. So thing is, we have a lower resistance right here, which is this middle range. We have a strong resistance right here, which is considered an order block slash resistance regular. Um, Again, if you guys are looking to take an entry, For a sweep, the sweep that I would look for would be the extreme up here, basically in the order block. Order block slash resistance. Sam said he has a pending buy set at 120 points below. Okay, where's your price at? Sam, let's see. Sam is looking at, oh, he's looking to get in at the extremes, of course. That makes sense. Or even lower than that, it looks like. So 120 below. Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, have a structure down there. So it looks like Sam was trying to get in for a sweep right here at the New York low. So I got the New York low right here. It also lines up with my liquidity. This would be a very, very high extreme for a buy, which is ideal, right? Like I mentioned, if you're gonna look for these sweeps, go for the extremes. Look out for the fake out here, guys. So I'm looking for price to push up, maybe sweep this area right here off the London low, then pull back into this range. So if you guys are looking to take a sweep, this is where the sweep level would be. Yeah, Sam said, yeah, it's before your trading time. Sam's gonna be trading gold. Gotcha. Yeah, makes sense. Gold's, GDP news like that's gonna be a strong catalyst for gold. Um, so I think gold is gonna be bullish if you're gonna be basing it off the fundamentals. Actually, let's take a look at gold right now. I didn't even think to look at gold. There's three main assets. If you guys are looking at different assets to trade, it's YM, NQ, ES, and GC, which is gold. Oops, wrong asset. Yeah, so gold's actually dropping right here. It's basically selling off. What I'm expecting right here is a possible continuation back up, though. So yeah, gold may dump a little bit right here, and then tomorrow, if the GDP data is, I would say negative, you want to look for negative GDP data because gold is a safe haven asset. So let's take a look at the what's the consensus. It's actually it's forecast to be positive. So if it's forecast to be positive, gold may just drop lower. Yeah, gold might just drop lower from where it's at. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Um, Gold has been dropping so far. I'm curious to see. I'm going to add the high lows on here, momentum, and then high lows. I was thinking about maybe cross-trading assets, but it's not super necessary. Just something to maybe look at. Let's see, gold open right here because gold's been bearish. So it looks like the gold breakout over here actually would have played out pretty nice. So if you guys want to apply the breakouts on different assets, you guys can. So looking over here at gold, it was a sell. Obviously, we had a sell momentum right here. Price drop below. Entry would have happened right here. Yeah, the gold breakout actually here would have played out perfect. Gold breakout would have hit. I'm kind of curious to see what the NQ breakout would have looked like. The NQ breakout was also for a sell. Looks like it would have so the NQ breakout over here would have chopped you out if you would have taken the NQ breakout. Looks like it came up, spiked out, and then it came right back down and hit target. Check ES. ES breakout for the day was also a sell. ES over here actually would have played out perfect. Oops. I'm kind of curious to see ES now. I'm gonna go and just. I wonder how the breakouts here are working out for ES. Because the thing is, ES is a lot slower. So the breakout here might actually work better for ES. I don't know. I'm just curious. Let's see. So yeah, breakout for ES yesterday was a buy. The problem is the volatility is sometimes a little too low. So the ES over here did what it would have hit for Tuesday, and I'm curious to see how it looked like on Wednesday. The thing with the breakouts is that I don't really care too much about the trend because the trend is sort of irrelevant in a sense. Comes down to it. It's just the ES is it's less choppy and volatile that, it's crazy. So the breakout here actually works really well on ES. If anything, I might try to apply the breakout on ES here. So if you apply the breakout on ES, it looks like it's been hitting pretty much every day. The thing that I like about this is that you don't get caught in the fake outs or chop. So again, let me see here. Yes. This here looks like it probably would have been a loss. I mean, it would have to depend on what the momentum was looking like. But yeah, this here looks like it would have been a loss. So one loss on Friday, the rest were wins. So basically three back-to-back wins, one loss on Friday. I'm curious to see Thursday over here. And if you guys are looking for trades, guys, again, there's nothing going on. You can see our price is just going back and forth. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hop into the chat. But I'm just looking at ES right now because maybe this is something that we might want to look at. Thinking back to the breakout, NQ would be a good option, but NQ is too volatile and it's too crazy. Like it's so super random that I would prefer to take something like ES, which is actually a lot slower. So this would have lost too. I mean, it looks like it wouldn't make a huge difference. ES here would have lost Thursday, would have lost Friday. Again, I wouldn't know what the momentum was here for my filter. But overall, I'm just curious. I'm going to finish this week just to see how this here would have played out for last week. Because last week, the breakout pretty much hit every single day for uh, for YM. The key thing here is you just want two wins per week. If you have two wins per week, you're doing a 2 to 1. So if you're doing a 2 to 1, it's going to yield a profit. Uh, 6:30. No, so I'm looking over here at ES. It looks like it would have been the same thing. Actually, it would have been worse with regard to yeah, no. Okay, that's fine. I wanted to just see if ES would have worked better for the breakout. Still looks like YM is the best option. Yeah, YM is still the best option for a breakout, even though it does not work sometimes. Um, Here, let's go back to the stats real quick. So looking at the stats for the breakout guys, so like I mentioned, you need to have basically two wins per week for it to be profitable at the end of the week, right? So for example, this week there was a loss on Monday, there was a win on Tuesday, there's a loss on Wednesday. If we have a win tomorrow, then it doesn't matter what happens on Friday, but it would still be a win, right? Overall. And here's the math, because what happens is if you have two wins for the week, right? So 50 times two, which is going to give you 100 points, right? So if you have two wins for the week, you'd have 100 points profit. If you have three losses for the week, so three times 25, you'd have 75 in loss, right? So if you do that, 100 minus 75, you really just need to have two wins for the week to come up profitable every week, right? That's why I like the breakout here because it's numbers game. If you break down the numbers, you see here that the breakout unless you have like a week where you have three back-to-back losses, and okay, you're gonna have a loss for that week. It's gonna be a red week. But if you have two wins, um, you're gonna yield a profit either way. Like regardless of the fact, you're gonna yield a profit. That's why I'm dialed in on this breakout because if this breakout can yield me at least two wins per week, you could have a loss on Monday, you could have a win on Tuesday, you could have a loss on Wednesday, you could have a win on Thursday. No matter what, if you have a win on Tuesday and you have a win on Thursday, you're gonna have profit for the week no matter what. It's like I don't want to say it's guaranteed, but that's you break down the statistics and the strategy hits more times than not. Um, you're going to end up in profit either way. So, again, this is why I'm more focused on the breakout. If you guys are wondering why, it's just the numbers make sense. So I'll try to back test this a little further. I'm going to do some more testing just to kind of see where it's at. Um, the thing is, I just can't use my filter here. I talked about this earlier with ARC. I can't identify the overall momentum because you can't go that far back. I have to forward test it, not back test it. All right, let's see. There's a couple questions here on the Zoom. Sorry, guys, I didn't look at the questions here earlier, but it looks like Maria had something here. She said, I noticed when a reversal pattern happened before the opening of the session, most of the time the direction of the opening is in this direction. Okay, so Maria over here sent a screenshot. Okay, this is good to know. So thanks, Maria, for this heads up right here. So Maria basically mentioned that she noticed if there is a reversal before open, it's going to push in that direction. Okay, well that's good to know because now that you've mentioned that, I might add this as another filter. So she saw a reversal right here, right before the opening of the session, and price ended up reversing up. Okay, so let's take a look at that real quick. I think Maria's done for the day, but I'm a little curious to see how this here would play through. Here, let me add that to here. It's the reversals. Okay. So this is good. This is why I like that we have this community here that we have on this live session every day because this helps. If we have an idea of like what to use as a filter, I'm always looking for a better filter. Right now, the momentum is kind of what I'm looking at, but if this is another filter that would be useful for us, then great. So I'm looking over here. Yeah, right here we had an engulfing. So Maria's right. Right here we had an engulfing reversal pattern, and we had a buy entry for the momentum breakout, and it hit full TP right there. Let's take a look at Monday. Monday would have been a loss either way. It doesn't matter which direction you would have taken, but I'm curious to see where it moved out first. There's going to be some days like this where it doesn't matter which direction you take, it'll still be a loss. So this was a chop in both ways. You took a buy here, it would have lost because it would have chopped you out. If you took a sell here, either way, it still would have lost because it would have chopped you out regardless of the fact. So looking at this right here, there was a V1 engulfing. It would have lined up with the entry. That would have been fine. Kind of curious to see what it was on Friday. But yeah, if there's any other question that you guys have, feel free to hop into the chat and I will take a look. Yeah, so it looks like Maria here might be onto something, guys. It really looks like she might be onto something. So it's a good thing that Maria here shared that with us. We had an engulfing right here, which is pre-market. There's also one right here at the 629 candle. We got some double engulfings right there. And the sells here actually played out perfect last Friday. Nice. Well, that's good to know. If that's the case, I might be able to just drop one of these filters. It's too much on the chart anyways to begin with. Looking at the Thursday entry over here. Thursday entry looks like it was a buy. This one over here looks like it didn't play through. Yeah, this one here would have been spiked out. Wow, okay. So looking at this right here, this also, or no, it was a sell, my bad, not a buy. It was a sell. I mean, it looks like this is one of those days where I would have lost either direction. Yeah, so this would have been a toss-up. Thursday would have been a toss-up. You take a buy or a sell, would have lost because of the choppiness here on open. But it also lined up with Maria's identification right there as an engulfing V1. I'll check one more and then I'm gonna wrap it up for the day, guys. 8:07 right now. Obviously past our trading time. I just wanted to check this confluence that Maria mentioned. I'll keep this in mind. So like if this is another confluence that I might use for the breakout, it'll help. Whatever filter we can find that's going to improve on our entry, it'll help. Yeah, so again, right here, there's a buy entry here for the momentum breakout, and then that right there. So this might be something that I may add to the pre-market checklist. This one I can actually backtest pretty far because it's on the 1 minute. V1 right there, bullish momentum, and then price ended up pushing up pretty nicely from there. Let's check one more. I'm just curious. But again, the main goal for this strategy, guys, is to have 2 wins per week. If you could have 2 wins per week, you're going to yield a profit regardless. Doesn't matter how many trades you guys take, how many wins you guys make. Um, at least 2 wins per week. And if you could have 2 wins and 3 losses, you'll still be in profit for the end of the week. Okay, this is the last example I'm going to look at here. 6:30, just right there. This over here looks like it. I mean, it's a really tight entry. It looks like it would have maybe stopped out, maybe would have hit. But again, Maria's confluence right there, lined up. Reversal right there, price push through. I guess for the reversal, you kind of want to see it pretty close. Let's just go back to Monday. We'll finish off this week, and I'll come back and take notes on this after this live session. Here's Mondays. Oh, Monday was a holiday. Or no, it wasn't. Not the 15th. Okay, one last thing here. Huge chop here. Yeah, okay. So I think I mean, this might be a good filter to look at. So like, right, for example, this here would have been I mean, it wouldn't have helped on this one because this thing here still would have chopped up. But actually, this would have been, so it was a sell entry because we had a sell momentum right here. But because there was so sell was the entry, but we had a reversal from the downside right here. This probably would have been avoided. Like this trade could have been skipped. So good to know. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for the day. Let me see if there's any other messages here. There's a couple here from Barack. Let's see, Barack. Barack mentioned at 7:30 there was a buy here that he took. Gotcha. So Barack, he took the buy right here. It bounced off his demand level, which lined up with my support. Yeah, Barack said his confluence was the supply and demand. Gotcha. Okay. Nice. Yeah, no, I just identified that right now, Brock, when you mentioned it. So price is continuing down right now, guys. Our overall checklist for this morning was bearish, so it is coming back down further. If you guys saw my daily outlook, it was neutral to slightly bearish. So this here is now starting to finally dump below. But that's going to be it for my trading for the day, guys. My cutoff for trading is 8 o'clock. It's 8:11 right now, so we're past that time. There's nothing for me to take here at the moment. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I'll be back here, same place, same time tomorrow as we continue on with this trading week. For this week so far, there's been, for the breakout specifically, there's been 2 losses and 1 win. So it's currently break even right now if you were to, calculate this together. Tomorrow we have 2 more days of trading, so realistically, we just need one win for the breakout, and then the breakout is going to yield a profit for the week, even if Friday wins or loses. Obviously, if we have two back-to-back wins Thursday, Friday, that'd be great. But either way, we just need one win for the momentum breakout, and then it'll yield a profit for this week. Because two wins will equal 50 points, three losses will equal negative 75. You'll still be in profit 25 points for the week. So that's kind of the goal and what we're aiming for. But all right, guys, I think that's it for the day. If you guys have any questions, feel free to hit me up on Discord. I'll probably be around for a bit. So if you do have any questions, you can just hit me up on Discord or just type in the team chat and I can answer whatever you guys need help with. I'll be looking to maybe update my spreadsheet here to see what the stats are for the month of September. So we can kind of have an idea of like what to expect for the end of the month. So